Shalom Akim. First of all, let's give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Yachak with us, the honors under the elders of Apostle Millstone, the elders of Millstone, and of course, peace and blessings unto the hopeful elect. That's a serious sermon of Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, serving with truth and sincerity. Yes, on the brother Chayabo from GMS Plaintiff's camp, coming back with another new spirit. Yeah, so this one was going through the news. Spirit hit me to hit this real quick. This is on nationalnews.com, which says food safety alert. It says FDA issues warning about shrimp contaminated with radioactive isotope. And as you can see, shrimp right here. And of course, nobody really ultimately no Israelite should be eating this. As we know, of course, this is unclean according to the scriptures. Shrimp is unclean. Any type of shellfish is unclean according to the scriptures. You're not supposed to be eating that. Ultimately, what we can look up, to read a little bit of this article, it says the FDA has issued a recall for a specific Walmart brand frozen shrimp after detecting trace radioactive cesium-137 contamination and samples imported from Indonesian supplier BMS Foods. 3 lot codes are affected, and you can see the codes right there. And again, these shouldn't be consumed. I'm gonna get real quick, first thing, let's go and get Leviticus chapter 11 and 9. It says, "These shall you eat of all that are in the waters, whatsoever hath fins and scales in the waters, in the seas and in the rivers, them shall you eat." Yeah, exactly. So ultimately, anything that has fins and scales within the ocean or the sea, that you can eat. Salmon and pretty much all these different scaled fish you can get with fins on them. Yeah, you can eat those. But it says verse 10, "And all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers of all that move in the waters," it says, "and of any living thing which is in the waters, they should be an abomination unto you." Yeah. So whatever doesn't have fins or scales in the ocean, in the seas, you can't eat it. In the rivers, in the waters, you can't eat it. So ultimately, what shrimp, shellfish, oysters, and lobster, and catfish, and all these different swordfish, shark, octopus, squid, eel, and all these different crazy stuff that these people actually eat. Stingray. Hey, you can't eat that. You can only eat what has fins and scales on it. Those are only the clean fish. Because ultimately, when you go into shellfish, lobster, and crab, shrimp, oysters, these are literally the bugs of the ocean. These are pretty much the organisms within the sea that clean the ocean. Let's go ahead and look up real quick. So I looked up, what does shrimp do in the ocean? It says, in the ocean, shrimp play diverse and vital roles. They are important scavengers, helping to clean up dead or organic matter and maintain water quality. Some shrimp also act as cleaners for other fish, removing parasites and dead tissue from their bodies. Additionally, shrimp are a significant part of the food chain, serving as a food source for many fish and other marine animals. See? So these guys are literally the trash cleaners of the ocean. Shrimp, it says they literally eat parasites, and they eat that tissue, and they eat up dead organic matter and maintain water quality. And hey, this is a shrimp right here, man. You really want to eat this? Again, it's basically a bug of the sea. A roach of the sea. You really want to eat that? But what they do is they cut off the head, they take out the eyes, they take off the antennas and whatever, and that so that it's more palatable for people to eat. But if they sold shrimp like this, people naturally would have wanted to eat it, showing you that you're not supposed to be eating it. It says, Leviticus chapter 11 and 11, they shall be even an abomination unto you. It says, ye shall not eat of their flesh, but ye shall have their carcasses in abomination. Verse 12, it says, whatsoever hath no fins nor scales in the waters, that shall be an abomination unto you. See, so treat it as an abomination. What does the word abomination mean? And again, this only for really this command unto us Israelites. Ultimately only, of course, you have some Jake out there who, they might keep a dietary law, but hey, ultimately, again, this command unto Israel to keep. So obviously, as brothers within the truth, or a few sisters out there sincere, we know. Well, ultimately, again, we understand, that not to eat these things, the dietary law. And again, dietary law isn't just there just to be there. No, ultimately, again, keeping the law has benefits. Not only has the Lord commanded us not to do it, so we're not going to do it then and there, but also doing it prevents sin. And with sin brings death. So if you're breaking the law, you're just eating shrimp left and right, and you're eating all these unclean foods. Pig, pork. That's another thing. Pork, that's an unclean scavenger. Or that's an unclean animal. You're not supposed to be eating that. Pork. If you keep on reading Leviticus 11, it speaks about swine, which is pork, pig. So abomination, for the word for abomination, says shakwatazah, meaning detestable thing or idol, an unclean thing, an abomination, detestation, filth. So these unclean animals are literally filth, and these people are stuffing their, stomachs with filth. Pigs, what they eat, whatever. Whatever a pig can find, they'll eat it. Dead carcasses and whatever. That's why they're loaded with diseases. I mean, if you look at a pig, they don't sweat. Why? Because they're designed to keep all those toxins within them. So, when you open up a pig, man, you're exposed to all those toxins that they're designed to keep within them. Same thing with these, the animals without fins or scales. I mean, the sea animals without fins and scales. It says Walmart has pulled products in 12 states, urging disposal of affected shrimp. Advocates recommend opting for organic, domestically sourced seafood to avoid reliance on risky global supply chains. And then again, you're not supposed to be eating this. You might have Jake, sometimes eggs, or sometimes, chicken, or sometimes beef can be recalled. Well, that's different. Those are clean things that you can eat. But when it comes to, again, pork, shrimp, and all these different shellfish, and again, all these things you're not supposed to be eating. Yeah, you're not supposed to be eating it. Hey, that, and ultimately with the heathen, and don't worry about the heathen. The heathen, they can eat this as the other Apostle Hart says, the Chinese, you can see Chinese guy have a whole buffet with unclean food. And they can run 10 miles right after. That's because they're designed, or ultimately, again, they're heathen. They're not designed to keep the law. And ultimately they're designed to serve their own idols. But when it comes to Israelites, we're not supposed to be doing it. That's why you see our people so messed up. These different diseases in them, and heart disease, high blood pressure, and whatever disease that these and ailments that our people have. A lot of it's from a bad diet, loaded with unclean foods. So the diet is very important. Keeping the dietary law is very important. And no, it's not designed to be grievous. It's designed to be beneficial unto us. Because again, keeping it leads onto life, leads onto health, better health. So yeah. But ultimately they wanted people to eat this. That's why they push it. And back in the slave days, shrimp, lobster, these different type of, these were considered to be low quality foods, slave food, prisoner food. But now it's looked at as a delicacy. You gotta, you drop, you see them platters, and things cost, $20? Just for literally trash. You got places like Red Lobster. The lobster is looked at the best, is looked at as the best dish there. Again, you're not supposed to be eating that. And this is what the scriptures say. And you can read Leviticus 11 and you can get what you can eat and what you cannot eat. Yeah, it goes into the coney against swine, camel. You can't eat no camel. Again, you can go more into it, but hey, it's real important to keep dietary law. And you're gonna have no, the law has never been done away with. Yahushua himself said that, I come not to destroy law, but I come to fulfill it. Yahushua wasn't over here eating, unclean foods, man. When Peter had the dream, he wasn't dreaming about, then after he had the dream of what unclean food, he, whipped up a pot of, unclean, again, of some pork, just unclean food. No. Ultimately, that was that was ultimately spiritual for, the Gentiles, the Israelite foreigners, like Cornelius. So yeah, I believe it's a point. Don't want to make the lesson too long, just a quick lesson to the spirit. And real important, something, there's a lot of things in the law that we can keep, and there's no excuse not to keep it. Dietary law is no excuse not to keep it. There's so many clean foods that our people can eat. But for some reason, they enjoy eating, the unclean foods, which are terrible for you. And again, they lead onto disease. You're literally eating filth, trash. Yeah, and again, we ultimately, we understand how. Yeah, as the scriptures say, our best is gonna be to fall among the heathen. But hey, eat the best that you can eat, though. Don't just don't eat because again, we got to eat the best we can eat, even though our food's defiled. It doesn't mean you go for the lowest quality foods like the pork, shrimp, and again, these different shellfish. again, just again, stick with dietary law and just go with that. Beef, chicken, venison, bison, and all these different type of meats that you can get. That's 100% quail. Again, that's 100% clean, and you can eat those things. Concerning what the animals that you can eat. Versus what you cannot eat. So yeah, just a quick lesson through the spirit. Lord Zoe Billis the edified. Yahweh Vashim Yahshai, Bashim Kakodash Bakatham. Shalom.